Hello, everyone. This is Andy Stone, Odyssey Project Team Leader for the Vermont Judiciary. This video is an introduction and overview to the new Odyssey case management system with a particular emphasis on the new e-filing system known as Odyssey File and Serve, or OFS for short. In order to understand the new system, we want to highlight three of the important components that make it up so that we can talk about it in a little more detail. The first piece is the core case management system itself, known as Odyssey or Odyssey Case Manager. This is what the court staff and judges will be using internally. It's where all the docketing will be done and where the official electronic case record will reside. This is not something that the public will be accessing, but it's important to mention it because when people talk about Odyssey and the courts transitioning to Odyssey, this is the main central feature that they're talking about. This is the piece that is replacing the legacy system, which many of you know as VTADs. The second piece to highlight is what we're going to spend the bulk of the video on today, which is the new e-filing system known as Odyssey File and Serve. This is a web-based program. You can file new cases and make subsequent filings into existing cases, including cases that were converted over from the old system, from VTADs. They should all be available to file into as well. This will be used by attorneys, self-represented litigants, basically anybody doing business with the court will be able to access this in all dockets and all units once it's pulled out everywhere. This program also does not build forms. That's been a common misconception. You do enter some fields of data, but it does not generate or produce documents for you to file. It's going to presume that you have your documents that you want to file in PDF format, and you'll just be attaching those PDFs as part of your filings, and that's how the actual, complaints, petitions, motions, things like that will be submitted. And we'll see how that works in just a few moments. The third piece to highlight briefly here is the Vermont Judiciary Public Portal. This is the site where users of the court and members of the public can go, and depending on a person's right of access, they'll be able to view case documents, docket sheets, see hearing schedules, get a number of types of information, and also perform some other functions such as making payments on judicial bureau or criminal fines. So as I mentioned, what you can see on the portal depends on your particular right of access. Parties and counsel in a given case have the right to get elevated access to that case, and certain agency personnel may have a memorandum of understanding with the court, which gives them broader elevated access to certain case types or dockets. There's a lot of information about this in the user guide that is available through the site. And there's going to be a separate video tutorial on the public portal, so I'm not going to go into any more detail about it right now, but please do consult those other resources, including the user guide and other instructional materials about the portal. Important to understand that information flows between all three of those different pieces of the system. They all function, independently to some degree, but they share a common underlying database. So, what's in the case management system should be available to file into through File and Serve, and should be available to be displayed on the public portal. And in certain situations, information flows the other way as well, as shown there. So they are all connected on the back end. A few basic things about Odyssey File and Serve, the new e-filing program. I've covered some of these things already. It's going to be rolling out region by region. As Odyssey rolls out, it will replace the old system known as eCabinet. It will be universally available to all court users in all dockets for all cases. And it offers a function called e-service, which allows you to serve copies of documents that you're filing on opposing parties and counsel if they are also users of the e-filing system, which all attorneys should be. And the Filing fees for whatever you're filing can be paid through credit card or e-check as part of the filing process. There is also a system use fee of $5.25 for each envelope that is submitted, and we'll go into a little more detail about what an envelope is and how that fee works. And there are a number of registration options depending on your situation. If you're a self-represented litigant, you would probably be using the individual user registration. Anybody that's part of a firm or an organization or any sort of group doing business with the court may want to register as a firm. A firm can be any of those types of groups. It doesn't have to just be a law firm, and there doesn't even have to be any attorneys working in that organization. It's really any organizational group of filers can be a firm together. And as noted here, if you're going to register as part of a firm, you need to do it in an organized way. You need to have at least one person be the firm administrator. They should register first and create the firm in the e-filing system, and then they would get a link to send to all other users of the firm, inviting them to sign up and join as part of that same firm. So there's a lot of documentation about this, which I'll point you to as well, and we'll look at it a little closer. The users in a firm do not all have to be attorneys. Admins, paralegals, agency staff, everybody can register as part of a firm. Everybody is able to submit filings as well. An admin or a paralegal can submit filings on behalf of an attorney, and we'll see how that works as well. How do you find the e-filing site? The direct link is displayed there. It's suggested that everybody bookmark that in their browsers. You can also find it off of the e-filing links on the Judiciary website, as shown there. When you go onto the site, and I'm going to switch over to the live site in just a second, but just to show you here, right on the landing page, the home page of the site, there's a self-help section where there are quite a lot of resources in there, and there are some additional resources also available on the Vermont Judiciary website in that e-filing section that I just showed you on the last page. If you follow the links to the Odyssey File and Serve section, you'll find a lot of resources on there. And we can come back to that. But for the moment, I'm going to switch over from PowerPoint to the actual e-filing site. And you can see this is what I was just showing you. There's a self-help section with a lot of information, and there's a notice section at the top where there may be a variety of links and other things that you may need to look at. So for the first time, for the registration, whether you're registering as an individual or as a firm user, you're going to click the register link, and then it's going to just ask you to fill out some basic information. So I'm just going to do this as a demonstration. So I just put in a name and a password and a security question and an answer. And then it's going to ask me which way I'm going to register. So again, if I'm a self-represented litigant or someone who's not part of any organization, I would select this self-represented account for an individual user. And if I was going to register if I was going to be creating a new firm, I would be selecting this one. And as it shows me here, it says, before I register, please check to make sure there's not already been an account created. So we had some problems with this with the initial launch with multiple people creating firms at the same time. So please be organized within your organization. It's a little bit difficult to undo it once it's done. So make sure that you know who's going to create the firm and wait for them to do that. And then, as it says there, the firm administrator can invite others to join the firm. So I'm not going to proceed all the way with this registration. I would complete this and then it would send me a verification link to click on. But I'm in the live site right now, so I'm not going to go further with that. Rather, I'm going to switch over to our testing site, which is really a mirror of the actual site. And on this site, I'm already signed in with a test firm administrator account, and I wanted to show the functions that the firm administrator can do, which include the ability to add, delete, and manage the users in the firm. And you can see right here, I have a number of users in my firm. And if I need to invite additional users, I have this join my firm link right here, which I can send to people by email or by copying the link. And then when they click on that, they get directed to register directly into the firm. Firm users are separate from firm attorneys. So users are the ones who can actually file. Firm attorneys can be users also, but the listing of attorneys is separate from users because when you select a filing attorney on a filing that you're submitting, it's going to connect them with their bar number into the attorney entity in the system. And these can also be added and edited as needed. The other thing that firm administrators can do is control the payment accounts for the firm. So you may have one or more firm credit cards that all the users in the firm would be sharing to pay filing fees. E-checks can also be used. You see I have a number of different test credit cards as well as an e-check account and a waiver account, which is something that every user can set up, or every firm can set up. All public agencies, government agencies are going to qualify for a waiver of all fees. So any public agency should have a waiver account set up. Also, certain dockets and case types will qualify for use of a waiver on filings within those. And I would direct everybody to the resources available on the website to see more specific information about that, including in the division-specific user guides that Vermont has produced. To add a new payment account or to edit an existing one, you can do it through these action buttons here. You can delete it. You can click right into one to see the information and edit it if needed. So that's something that the firm administrator will control. Anywhere I am in the e-filing program here, I can always get back to that home page through the actions button right here. If I click actions, I can go right back to the dashboard, which is the first page that you land on after logging in. You can see a number of things here on the filer dashboard. These are all my filings, not my whole firm's. So in this scenario here, I'm the firm administrator and also a firm user who files documents. And I can see anything that I have submitted that is now pending with the court, awaiting review, anything that the court has already accepted, anything that the court has returned to me. Maybe I forgot to sign the pleading and they sent it back to me. I would see that. Anything I'm working on that I haven't yet submitted, that's a draft. And I can work on a draft and save it and come back to it and submit it later. And anything that I've served on other parties is going to show in that served area. And I'll talk a little bit about that. And then you see that the two main options for actions here are to either start a new case or to file into an existing case. So I'm going to give a brief demo here of how to start and file a new case, and then I can circle back around and talk about how to find and file into an existing case. So I'm just going to click this button, but before I do that, I want to also highlight this other feature here that says use a template. And what a template is a pre-configured filing format that any user or any firm can set up that will save you a lot of repetitive manual entry, such as entry of your own address, phone number, things like that. Anybody that repetitively files the same types of filings into the same courts, you can set it up to have all the filing codes and other information preset, and basically just have to enter the specific details about the client in this case, or the subject matter of the case, whatever it may be, and then obviously attach the relevant documents. But a template is a way of creating a lot of efficiency when you do a lot of the same type of filings. So I'm not going to use a template for right now. I'm just going to start a new case. And there are basically 4 steps to filing a new case, 5 if you're also serving it on someone. The first box is the case information, and there's 3 things you have to choose here. So I'm just gonna select the unit that I'm filing into, the case category that I'm filing into. And you'll notice here that I only see civil, family, and probate right here. I do not see criminal here. That's because at this time, the rights to initiate a new criminal case are restricted only to authorized agency personnel, the state's attorney, the attorney generals. If I had chosen file into an existing case, I would see the option for criminal, because anybody can file into an existing criminal case, but I don't have the rights to start a brand new case. Only the state can do that. So I'm going to do a family case. Do a dissolution with minor children, which is a divorce. Dissolution is a broad category that would cover divorce, legal separation, civil union dissolution, and annulments. So those would all be subtypes of dissolution cases. So this is a dissolution contested with minor children. And I save those changes. I have to save the changes in one section, and then it will automatically move me along to the next section. And again, there's 4 sections total. I just did case information. Now I'm on to party information. And you can see that for whatever case type I selected, there are some required parties, default standard party types for that case type. So, a divorce with children is going to involve a plaintiff, a defendant, and at least 1 minor. I can add other parties as well here of any type, but I have to at least put these 3 in. So for the sake of brevity, I'm just going to enter the bare minimum here, which are their names. Generally, in a real filing, I would be trying to be as complete as possible, and completing all the information to minimize the chance of errors, because this information does transfer right into the case management system. However, as you can see, only the name is actually mandatory at this point. So now I've entered all of my required parties, and I haven't added any additional parties. Again, if I wanted to, I could just click add another party, select any of these many party types we have off of this list, and select them in there. So maybe I'll do another minor in there, 2 children. And now I'm on to the filing section. Right here it says filing type. So this is a new filing. The other party hasn't been served. I don't really know if they're going to be represented by counsel or if they're users of the e-filing system or not. So I'm probably not going to be able to electronically serve them right here. In addition, there are some rules, particularly in this case type, about personal service for certain types of filings. So in general, the service feature is going to be available on subsequent filings into existing cases where you already know if there's opposing counsel and where they've already added themselves into the e-filing system. But for the moment, I'm just going to select e-file rather than the other option on this filing type, which would be e-file and serve. So if you need to serve copies of the documents you're filing onto the other party, as I said, that other party has to be a registered user in the e-filing system, and they have an obligation to go into the case after it's filed and add themselves as a service contact onto the case. And that's covered in the new rules of electronic filing. And it's an obligation for everybody using the system to add themselves as service contacts. So as I said, this is a new filing. I'm just going to e-file it. I'm not going to worry about serving it right now. And this is also where users should consult the Vermont specific manuals that are available on the Judiciary website for guidance on specific filing codes to use in specific case types. For the majority of new case filings, we're going to use this generic code called initial filing or initial filing confidential if it's a confidential case. So this is going to cover a broad range of case types. Again, check the division user guides. But I'm going to select initial filing, and this is the code that's going to represent the complaint and whatever else I need to file as an attachment to the complaint. Some of these fields are optional. The filing description, I can put whatever I want in there. Client reference number is something that you or your organization may use internally. It's not something that's required by the system. The comments to the court is a place where you might note if you have redacted any pieces of it, if there's a public and a non-public version attached. You have a responsibility to note those things if you file something in that kind of situation. Courtesy copies down here is where you can put, excuse me, where you can put additional email addresses. However, this is not the same as service, so this is not the place to put opposing parties or counsel. The courtesy copies are not tracked in the system. It's not verifiable whether they're sent and received, but they do send a copy of whatever you're filing with the court to whatever email addresses you might add in here. And this is more useful in terms of sending things, a copy to another of your own email accounts or to your colleagues or your admin or somebody within your own organization. Again, it's optional. It's not mandatory. None of those other fields here below the filing code are mandatory. Then we get to the document upload piece. As I mentioned before, filings are submitted in PDF format, so you have to have it somewhere on your computer or on a shared drive. You're just going to click this upload link, and you'll find whatever. There's a test divorce complaint in PDF format. I'm just going to click on it, and it's going to upload it. And there it is. It's uploaded. It's going to have a default security setting on it. Public limited is a security, which means that it's a public case, but it's limited in that it does not get displayed over the internet to anonymous users. You have to have some right of access to view it online. And that's based on some restrictions in Title 12, I believe, of the Vermont statutes. So if I need to change the security setting for any reason, I can do that with this dropdown, but that one's correct for right now. If I have some attachments to the initial filing, I can add them as well through the same process. I just click it, and add another attachment onto the filing. Although in the real world, I probably would not be adding a financial affidavit as an attachment. That would be a separate filing within the same envelope. So I'm going to remove this, and I'm going to save this. I'm going to save this for a moment. And it says add another filing. So I'm going to click on that, and now I'm going to go in and add those 813s. This will give a better example of what an attachment should be. I'm attaching a PDF version of these financial affidavit forms. These are correctly defaulted to security. And now I might have some pay stubs or a tax return or something that is directly related to that. So that would be more of an appropriate attachment. I don't know if I actually have a test pay stubs or not. Oh, there I do. Okay, so I've got another filing with attachments there. I'm going to save those changes, and you'll see that I now have two filings within this envelope, and this is important to understand. I can have as many filings as I want inside this envelope. I think there is some data size limit, but it's quite vast. You can add a good number of filings in here, and you can add attachments onto each individual filing. And the other thing that I didn't do is select service on this case. In this family case, I'm going to need to pay for certified service for the court to send it. And that would be down here under this additional optional services and fees. This is where things like service and photocopies and certified copies of things will be found. And you can go and select from this drop down what kinds of things you might want to add on. This is sort of like adding on extras. So certified copies, mail service, photocopies. I need certified mail. One of them, I need defendant to be served. So I'm going to add that and save that. And now that I've added all my filings, I'm down into the fees section here, and I just have to select the payment account and who's responsible for the fees. And it takes a little getting used to understand, how these are structured. It's not entirely intuitive. You see right here, it says filing fee 0. It's just the way the system lists it. So this new divorce case, it's a $295 filing fee, and it's down here under court case fee rather than filing fee. You see the certified mail fee that I selected right there for $13. And then you see the e-file fee at the bottom. This is the system use fee that's charged by the vendor, by Tyler Technologies, per envelope. So remember, I put multiple filings into this one envelope, and I could have put more in, and it's only it's $5.25 for as much as I put in there. Anything that I'm submitting at once is a total of $5.25, and this fee does not go to the court. It's the system use fee for the vendor, which manages the system. So I'm going to select the payment account I'm going to use here. Select the party responsible, would be the plaintiff, because we're filing it. And then right here, depending on who the attorney that's signing off on the documents is, I can select a filing attorney. This is optional. If this is something that's not filed by an attorney, you don't have to use this drop down. And note here the other fee that I didn't cover before, which is the credit card service fee, which is paid to Chase Bank, which is the credit card merchant. And you see that as soon as I select the credit card payment account, It's going to add that payment service fee on there. And that fee is 2.89% of whatever the total filing fee is without it. So so that's where that comes in as well. So it gives you the envelope total at that point, and then we can go ahead and save all that. And then the last piece I have to do before I can file is to check this checkbox at the bottom for submission agreements. And this is where I'm saying that I have complied with the rules for public access to court records, and I have done any proper redaction of non-public records or contents, and basically followed all the rules about that. So I'm going to check that checkbox, click summary, which is going to take me to a screen where I can review everything I've done so far and see if everything looks okay. If I need to make a change, I can go back and edit it and look through the whole filing. And if it all looks good, I'm just going to click submit. As soon as it submits, the system is going to send me an email confirmation that says that my filing has been submitted, and it's going to give me an envelope number. So until the court reviews this filing and accepts it, it's not going to have a case number. The case number will get assigned automatically when the clerk looks at it and clicks accept. At that point, the case will actually be ingested into the case management system, and another email will be sent letting you know the filing has been accepted. And for a new case, it will also provide you the case number or docket number. So at this point, you'll receive an email and it will have the envelope number, and that's how you would be able to track it. You would also be able to track it here from the dashboard. So I just submitted that, and I know it hasn't been reviewed yet, so it should be here in my pending folder if I click on pending. See if it finds it. So here it is right here, envelope 202479, and it just says it's submitted. So it's waiting for the court staff to review it. To make a subsequent filing into an existing case that's already in the system, I'm just going to check this box right in the middle here that says file into existing case, and it's going to open up a little search screen to try to find the case I want to file into. I have to know the county, so I'm going to pick the county or the unit that it's being filed into. And then if I know the case number, that's usually the quickest and easiest way to find the case. And in fact, it's the only way to find the case for confidential cases. So that would be juvenile, mental health, falls into that category for the purposes of Odyssey filings. And you would need to know the county and the case number in order to file into those confidential cases, because the party names are all masked in the system on those case types. However, for public cases, you should be able to search for individual parties. So I'm going to put in the name of somebody that I believe has some legal action going on in the court here in our test environment. I'm going to search for him. And you can see I got 2 results. This may or may not be all the cases that Homer has in the court system right now. But again, if he has any confidential cases, they would not have come up under the name search. I would have had to put those case numbers in. So I can see these 2 cases right here, and I can use the actions button on the right. If I want to file into this domestic case right here, I can select from the actions button to file into the case right here. So this is also actually a good example of the 2 different case number formats that we're working with. The old VTED style ones with the letters at the end, those are still valid in the system. You can search based on those case numbers in their original format, and the system will find them. However, any cases that are new and have been generated initially in Odyssey are going to have the new format where the year is at the beginning. Now, before I go any further into one of those cases, I'm going to go back and search by a case number instead. And here I'm going to put in case number for a confidential case that would not have appeared on there. And that's going to be a new case, and it's going to be a relief from abuse. And it's going to have a case number that looks like this. But here I'm also going to show a little bit of shorthand that the system accepts. So this would be the full case number here, 20-FA-00088. However, OFS is going to take some shorthand here. You can leave the dashes out, and you can leave those intermediate zeros out. So instead of 20-FA-00088, I can go 20-FA. I don't even have to capitalize 20-FA-88, and that is going to be treated exactly the same by the system. So I'm going to search for that, and you can see right here it gave me my case result. Does not show any party names, so there's no identifying information. So I can still select filing into that case, but it's really not going to show me very much at all. Once I've found whatever case it is that I want to file into, and I select file into case from the actions menu, it's going to be pretty similar to what you saw earlier with filing a new case. Of course, here I don't have to re-enter the parties. I don't have to re-enter any of the basic information about the case type and where it's located. I'm just going to have to add the filings, whatever they may be. You can see that the parties' names are omitted here, but I can add a new filing. And if there's a post-judgment fee or something, which there wouldn't be in an RFA case, I can proceed just the same as it was for a new case. Now, I've been mentioning service contacts for e-service, and I want to go back and talk about those in a little more detail for a minute. And there's a number of different ways that you can add service contacts for yourself or your organization onto a case. It's not an automatic thing that happens just by virtue of filing the case. It's an affirmative step you have to take. And there may be, within a firm or an organization, there may be a number of people that are listed as potential service contacts. So one of the follow-up actions that you would take when a case is filed is to assign the service contact. If it's a self-represented litigant, they themselves are going to be the service contact. For a firm or an organization, it could be the attorney themselves, it could be an admin or someone else who's designated to be the service contact. So there's a number of different ways to get a service contact onto a case. If you've already submitted a filing and it's been accepted by the court, you'd find it here in your accepted filings. And when I find a case that I've filed and that's been accepted and I need to add myself, I can use the actions button on the right here and say view service contacts. And you can see it doesn't look like there's any service contacts on the case now. So if I'm the attorney for the plaintiff here, we filed this case, it's now been accepted by the court. I can go in and say either add a brand new service contact, which would be somebody that's not already associated with the firm as a service contact, or I can add from my list within my firm. And you see I have a number of attorneys and other people in there as potential contacts. So I can select who the service contact is for this case and put it on them. And the opposing party or opposing counsel would go into the case and through the same thing, and they would add their own. It's not anticipated that people would be adding service contacts for opposing parties. I can also add myself or another service contact when I'm filing into an existing case through the same method overall. So I'm going to just pull up another civil case here. When I find a case after searching for it, I can use this action button right here to see the service contacts and to edit them if I need to, right here. I can also do it in the course of actually filing into the subsequent action. If I say file into case, and I do the same thing and select e-file and serve, then it will show me the service contacts again, and I would be able to edit them that way. And that's what you're seeing here. I've selected e-file and serve as the filing type. And so it's going to show me all the service contacts that are on the case. You can see that the plaintiff has two different service contacts listed. Defendant has one. The default setting is for all service contacts on the case to receive service of anything that gets filed. So if you don't want to have any particular parties get e-served, you would need to uncheck those boxes and proceed from there.
I do want to circle back quickly and show everybody what it looks like when you do submit a filing and you receive an email. As you can see here, it tells me clearly it got my filing, it's been submitted. It's given me the envelope number. The envelope number and case number are the same right now because the court has not yet assigned a docket number or a case number. That will come when the filing is accepted. When that happens, you will get a message like this top one here that says filing accepted. It will reference the original envelope number, but now it also has a case number. So you would be able to use that for any subsequent filings into the case. You'd be able to pull it up by that case number. If the court has a problem with the filing, as I mentioned, the example of forgetting to sign the pleadings or some other defect where they can't accept it, they would send it back. It'll say filing returned, and the clerk will enter a note explaining the reason and the corrective action that is needed. And when a filing gets returned or rejected, it's important to understand that if it's just some little error or thing that needs to be changed, it doesn't mean that the work was wasted to put the envelope together to file it. You can make whatever corrective action is needed and then resubmit that same envelope. It's very efficient. You don't need to re-enter all the information you've already entered. You just need to fix what needs fixing and send it back again. Talked about that. And just a couple other more details about the e-service function. I mentioned it briefly, just saying that it's generally going to be used for subsequent filings, and it can also be used as a standalone function if there's something like discovery or interrogatories or something that you need to serve on the other party, but don't necessarily need to file with the court at that time. There is a option of serve only, and that's something that you can use as well. And lastly, just to wrap up with a few words about training and support for users of the new system, Tyler Technologies is the vendor that manages the e-filing system, and they provide the primary customer support for any technical or system issues. They are not the primary support for Vermont specific procedural questions. They're not going to be well versed on what specific forms or documents or filing codes you're supposed to use for a particular type of filing. For those kind of questions, you want to contact court staff directly, as you would in general for any business process or procedural questions. But Tyler can help you if your login doesn't work or if you're having some other technical problem with how the system functions. There's also quite a lot of self-help resources on the site, frequently asked questions, recorded web training sessions, and a knowledge base, as well as the opportunity for a live chat through a variety of mediums with customer support personnel. The main training tool, or one of the main training tools, are the live webinar sessions that Tyler runs regularly, and those can be accessed through the self-help section here, web training sessions, and you can sign up for these. They are free. Again, they're somewhat generic because they're not they're not tailored to Vermont case types or anything like that. But the trainers from Tyler go through all the functions of the system, and you have an opportunity to ask whatever questions you like. So you can see I clicked on that, and I can sign up for live sessions. I can watch a recorded training session, which is a great resource that you can do at any time. If I click onto the live sessions, then I should be able to see any upcoming sessions and sign up for them if I want. So right here, there's a drop down. I see there's a number of them scheduled coming up in September and October. So those are sessions that you can all sign up for at any point. You can also contact the Judiciary Help Desk, as it notes right here, for technology questions. So they are another resource. But again, for specific procedural questions, the court staff are still your main source of of information on that. So obviously there is a lot more information in all these resources, a lot more information to be conveyed. In this video, I tried to balance detail with brevity. So if there's anything that hasn't been addressed fully in this video, please do try to find it in one of these various resources. I should also mention that there are many additional resources also available on the vermontjudiciary.org website in the electronic filing section. You can see that there's information about both systems, because right now we're in a transitional period where we have Odyssey File and Serve running in some counties and eCabinet still running in some other counties. So so you'll find information about both systems on this page, as well as some other details. There's some more information about the system use fees here, how to create a waiver account for those who are authorized to do so. And then you'll want to be looking at these sections here about Odyssey File and Serve, which will give you information about registration, support numbers, and also links to the public portal. And then in the section under that, Odyssey File and Serve user guides, you'll see some division-specific user guides, as well as a general policy and procedure guide. Some of these are complete division guides. Some of them are specific targeted guides about performing a certain function, such as creating a waiver account. We have a guide that gives all the details about e-service, since I know I went over it very quickly in this video. And for those organizations that don't have attorneys in them, but this document here will tell you how to set that up, and that would be for a public agency or even a law enforcement agency or any other group like that. And we're going to continue adding to this, so do check back. We're producing new documentation all the time in response to the questions we get and the needs we perceive. So we're going to keep expanding this and making it into a more robust source of knowledge and information. And if none of those resources help you out, please do reach out through the court staff. We'll try to be responsive and do what we can. So hopefully this video has been helpful. As I mentioned earlier, please also see the other video about the Judiciary Public Portal and how to use that service. And we wish everyone the very best of luck with e-filing. Thanks.